After all the talk, DeShaun Foster and the Bruins delivered. Their starting quarterback, they just got him in the transfer portal. Welcome, Joey Football.
You are Locked On UCLA, your daily podcast on the UCLA Bruins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome, everybody, to this edition of the Locked On UCLA Podcast. I'm your host, Zach Anderson-Yoxsimer. We're reacting, thinking, thrilled about the idea that Joey Aguilar is the new UCLA commit at the quarterback position. There was thoughts that, hey, maybe they'll go after Cade Salter, and then all of a sudden he goes from Liberty to Colorado. Then there's a lot of heavy recruitment looking at Fernando Mendoza. Well, the former Cal quarterback chose Indiana, and then the Indiana former co-offensive coordinator, quarterbacks coach who came to UCLA, Tino Sunseri, probably with some words of advice to DeShaun Foster. Hey, with the new JUCO ruling that these guys who play JUCO ball can get an extra year, let's go after this kid, Joey Aguilar from App State. Played 2 years of JUCO football, came from NorCal, played in Antioch, and then next thing you know, lit it up in 2023 for an App State team that made it to their conference championship game in the Sun Belt. A game that Curt Cignetti's James Madison Dukes didn't make because Joey Football and his Mountaineers upset them en route to the Sun Belt Championship game appearance. And then all of a sudden, how funny these recruiting, coaching, player circles are, eventually he's recruited to come to UCLA. And I think it's a huge get, regardless of what you think about mechanics. The numbers are there. And with what UCLA had, I think this puts them on a greater trajectory to compete in 2025. All right. Now you look at what UCLA has coming in. You take a look at what Indiana did taking a MAC quarterback like Curtis Rourke a year ago, who led them to the playoff. Curtis Rourke had 2,200 yards, 11 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 200 yards rushing, 4 touchdowns on the ground. All right. That was Curtis Rourke's numbers before he went to Indiana when he was playing at Ohio. Now, let's remind you what Joey Aguilar was able to do because, hey, this is a guy that's thrown for over 6,000 plus yards and nearly 60 touchdowns with App State. Well passing the numbers of Curtis Rourke. And even if he's a turnover machine, heck, UCLA couldn't sling the ball successfully last season with Eric Bieniemy's offense. So the hope is with the development of a quarterback from one year to the next with Tino Sunseri, the hope is that with a kid coming back to his home state, an opportunity to get a much bigger NIL compared to probably what it was at App State. I wonder what that's going to look like. This brings in a fifth-year quarterback, and while it's kind of funky since he did play 2 years of JUCO, the more I look at it, I'm not sure he's going to get that second year back, but things change. So at the moment, this is a one-year option. And I know I talked about in a previous pod how he would be eligible for 2, but since his eligibility would have been up, so far they've only granted 1 year of eligibility. Now, what that means for future JUCO kids and how this situation changes, I'm not sure. But I think this is a really good scenario. UCLA gets a guy that can help them compete immediately in 2025. Because think, DeShaun Foster's coaching, maybe not for his job necessarily in year 2, but you win in year 2, and all of a sudden the commits are going to come in from the high school recruiting. I don't really know what the JUCO recruiting is going to look like in the next couple of years. And then people in the portal are like, hey, look what they did after year 1. They're going to want to come again next year. All right. So this somewhat keeps the quarterback room intact. I know I haven't talked a lot about them, but there's a lot of youth. I'm not sure they're all ready. But after so many system changes from Chip Kelly to Bieniemy to now Tino's, I'd rather these young quarterbacks develop with someone who could be a quarterback guru in developing quarterbacks, have them learn under his system, and bring in a kid like Joey Aguilar, and then have him do much better in 2025 than he did in 2024 because he played spectacularly in his 23 season, helping the Mountaineers in barn burners every single one of those games. We're a 9-5 Appalachian State team. And now for a 5-6 team in the 11 games they played this year, a little up and down, but I still think it's an absolute perfect get. For UCLA, whose transfer portal ranking with the incoming recruits sits, depending where you look at it, maybe it's on 3. Rivals, I thought I saw Rivals had them at number 4 before this commit. I've seen on 3 have them at top 10. The Bruins are pouring in these numbers. So Chip Kelly said, hey, I can get guys in the portal. Well, DeShaun Foster's doing something similar, and I think they got the right guy at quarterback. With what was available, and with the new JUCO ruling, this is somebody who is an absolute perfect fit for what UCLA needs. If he's only there for a year, hopefully he's a trooper for a year and the Bruins can pop off, play in a big game next year in 2025, and run off some wins against a schedule that could be and lead itself to be successful. Not just like UCLA is going after kids in the portal. So are the Utahs, the UNLVs, so are the New Mexicos, and all the teams in the Big Ten. Yet UCLA has a schedule that could lend itself to more success in the win department than it did in 2024. Is that a guarantee? Absolutely not. But are we going to start the Garbers versus Aguilar debate right now? No. But I do like where the kid's been, how he's developed, and I would think in a full off season, hopefully he can come in for spring ball and practice the entirety of it. Then UCLA will be on offense. They've got a receiver. They got 2 receivers and a quarterback coming in to revamp what was just a lifeless offense in 24 and declining in 2023. Changing things with a new young hotshot offensive coordinator, giving him the reins, giving him the keys, giving him a young quarterback who he's seen in person beat his top 20 James Madison team in 2023 on the road, where he threw for over 300 yards and 2 or 3 touchdowns in that upset win over the Dukes. So he's seen firsthand, hey, this kid can ball. And with just the right tools and what he's probably done already with Curtis Rourke, man, could be successful in UCLA in 2025, or at least a lot more fun to watch on the offensive side of the football. Could you imagine going to Columbus next year? Now, if Chip Kelly's still the coach as the offensive coordinator, not sure what Ohio State's going to do. Wouldn't that be fun to go see their new young offensive coordinator with Joey Aggs in there and, hey, put up a bunch of touchdowns and say, hey, look, our offense works just as fine in Columbus. What are you doing, Chip? That would be so much fun. So much fun. All right, so that's a huge quarterback. We can talk about a lot more. We can talk mechanics later. But another big commit, a sneaky commit, was Bert Toller III, the new UCLA receiver coach, has brought in one of his former players from Cal, Mikey Matthews. This was a guy that, if you forget about the quarterback commit, was the lone commit prior to that one on December 28th. A third-year, third-school player, SoCal kid, played his high school ball at Mission Viejo, a Diablo, and then started his career at Utah, an Irvine kid that, hey, bring him back to SoCal and play his college football at UCLA. And while his numbers are nothing to look at, right? You can make the same case for J. Michael Sturdivant. Now he's going to go get paid at Florida. We know how talented the kid is. So I think the wide receiver coach, who just brought in a talented receiver like Mikey Matthews, despite the lack of stats that he has, this is somebody who can actually fill 2 needs. Matthews, in a true freshman, played every single game at Utah in 2023, almost 30 catches, just a shade under 300 yards receiving, but he was both the kick returner and punt returner for Utah. This last year, he was a punt returner for Cal. Didn't seem like, from what I was reading real quickly, that he was a kick returner. But what is UCLA in the market for in special teams? Well, they have no Keegan Jones, so they're going to need a new kick returner. Logan Loya transferred out. He committed to Minnesota. So UCLA needs a punt returner who can fair catch and wait, right? And help UCLA be one of the best punt return averages in the country, which was one of the most mind-boggling statistics in 2024 because the Bruins had much better punt return numbers than just about any team in the country. So what does UCLA get in a quarterback? I think something with a good ceiling. And if it doesn't work, it's a 1 year. Oh, well, I think the sky is pretty blue bringing in Joey Aguilar. And then you bring in Mikey Matthews, who, despite the limited numbers offensively, I would think his receiver coach knows what he brings. Maybe was tasked with, hey, we need a returner. Matthews could easily fill in that slot in that hole left in by Logan Loya, especially in the return game. And the Bruins, in one day, have probably shored up a couple of things. You bring in another offensive weapon, whether he hits this year or not, can help special teams, and you fill the quarterback hole. Now go get another offensive lineman or two. I know UCLA, I think they're going after the former Arkansas kid who was 6'4", 6'5" in the portal. And then you can go protect your quarterback and utilize the run game so much more. This UCLA team is looking pretty exciting with what they've built and what could be a top 10, top 5, dare I say, transfer class heading into the 25 season. Boy, oh boy. Boy, oh boy, what the Bruins have done to fix the coaching staff, readjust the roster, and potentially be one of those hidden gems in 2025. Now, is that simply making a bowl game or something even more special? Well, we've got all offseason to talk about it, and still another commit or two probably waiting, hopefully, for UCLA. But Joey Aguilar has committed to UCLA. I think it was Pete Thelma with ESPN. I've seen 24/7 report it. Everybody in on it. So get excited for UCLA here coming up. The NFL playoffs are almost here, but it's not too late to get in on the regular season action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can finish the season strong with $250 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Again, FanDuel has so many ways for you to pick up a W, whether it's betting on which players are going to score a touchdown, how many points each team will score, all of it leads to thrilling action. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. Again, that's FanDuel.com for your chance at $250 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right, that's going to do it for us here on Locked On UCLA. Come on, believe for a second, Bruins. Fellow Bruins, believe. No negative, Nancy. No negative. Nothing negative. Bring the positive vibes, at least into the new year. Let us get past New Year's Day before you bring it down and start commenting, oh, this kid sucks. Now, come on. Believe for a second. I'm not saying they're going to be Indiana. Maybe it will be in a week or two in a pod. But hey, believe. Have some fun. This is some good stuff what DeShaun Foster's recruiting team has put together, a competitive transfer class. All right. It's really fun. I'm excited. Even if not all these kids hit after 1 to 2 years. A good clip, good gets. The Bruins are doing good things. So have a good 8 clap. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. UCLA, fight, fight, fight. This has been Locked On UCLA. Zach signing off. Go Bruins.